You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, and co-host Keelan Harvey on Alternative Talk AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage experts Tina Mitchell and Keelan Harvey.
Welcome back to the Money Hour on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, September 21st show. I am your host, Tina Mitchell.
And I'm your co-host, Keelan Harvey.
We are your local mortgage experts. We bring in studio each week the best of the best experts in our local market on everything regarding your money. We're here to help you in today's economy. If you're hearing our show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast, but we're here to connect you with our guest. And you can call the show at 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. In studio right now, another first-time guest. We have Tresa, Leftenant of Reinventing Her Money. Stop talking about everything else and start talking about money. Tresa, thank you so much for joining us today. Really excited to have a chat with you about money and women.
Thank you, Tina. Thank you, Keelan. Great to be here.
And a little bit about Tresa. Tresa is a certified financial planner and founder of Reinventing Her Money, an independent financial planning and investment management company in Bellevue, Washington. Tresa opened My Financial Design in 2003 and rebranded in 2019 in order to focus on financial literacy, money mindset, and empowerment coaching for professional women who have unique challenges to becoming financially independent. Tresa is author of Reinventing Her, helping women plan, pursue, and capitalize of their next chapter, and a continued author in best-selling books, including Coach for Entrepreneurs, How Life Coaching Can Help Entrepreneurs Improve Their Bottom Line, and Living the Success Principles, compiled by Jack Canfield. Tresa is also a certified trainer of success principles. And I just have to, I knew I could find something to give Keelan a hard time about, but we are in studio here with four women. So it is 4 women and Akila, 5 women, including Victoria behind the scenes. And now we're going to be talking about women and empowerment and finances. So I'm going to...
You just turned me into a woman, too. You just said Keela instead of
I
Keela.
said Keela. That
Bam!
is so
5
awesome.
women now in my alter ego. Here we go.
I love it. So on that note, it's going to be a fun show. Fun segment here with Tresa. So Tresa, why is talking about money so difficult for women?
Well, if you think about it, maybe in your own life, if somebody asks you, how much money do you make? Perhaps your response might be, well, that's kind of personal, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And we have this idea, this belief that talking about money is just too personal because of what it might reveal about us. But in actuality, that's what I really want to challenge for women. Mm-hmm. Because I think that if women continue to hide who they are and what they really want with money, then they just hold themselves back. So the messages from our parents play a big role in this. I know for myself, I was raised in a small town in Idaho, and my mother had kind of like this little part-time job where she was teaching women to knit. But my father was a big executive down at the biggest bank in town. Mm-hmm. And so, I learned from her, keep your money safe, make sure that you don't take any risk. And what I learned from my father was, you should be an entrepreneur. Go for your dreams. So I had these conflicting messages. And I like to help women investigate that for themselves.
Yeah.
What did your parents really teach you about money? And how is that still at play in the decisions you make? Because let's face it, money is just a series of decisions, right?
Yes.
Money is involved with everything that we do, everything that we want. And if we don't really investigate where we're coming from, what's going on in that mind of ours, then we can end up with results or circumstances that we don't really like.
Yeah, and what a great combination of a coach, financial advisor, bringing them together for a female and being successful.
So, Tresa, what's at stake for women if they don't learn to really talk frankly about money?
Well, we're in kind of a big time in our country right now. There's a lot of conversation going on just culturally, like the Me Too movement and whether men and women have the same equal opportunities to be successful. And so if women will never really reach the same equal success financially unless they're willing to talk about money, unless they're willing to really reveal I know how to do this, but I don't know how to do that. And so when we learn to talk frankly about money, then we can learn to accept who we are, learn what we need to learn, maybe challenge ourselves, be a little more courageous, and work together. And especially when we're talking about couples, right? I mean, I say I work with money or work with women, and that's very important to me because I've had a lot of the same challenges that women have in terms of becoming financially independent. But definitely women are married, and so it's not like I don't work with men. But there's just different messages. There's messages from our home, there's messages from our culture. And it's like what Brenda was saying about peeling the onion.
Yes.
If we can actually take the time to look at who we are as a person and peel back the onion around our money messaging, then perhaps we can achieve more, have more.
Yeah.
And I frankly, when you look out in the world and you see women who have become very, very successful with money, I know that really any woman can do the same thing.
Yes.
I mean, look at Oprah. She was she grew up very poor, and so she was able to achieve what she did through a set of personal skills. And you're right. I have combined the personal development that I did in my own life into my financial planning company.
Yeah, I love that. And yes, it's very, very independent to each individual, just as with Brenda talking about forgiveness. What is that for you? And you talking about money. What is that story behind money? And what are those blocks? Break them down and you can conquer the world. So let's talk about the culture messages and that women are receiving about money.
Well, here's the interesting thing I hear in my practice all the time. So we have a country that actually is the only developed country that doesn't have some sort of paid leave to take time to raise your children. So who takes the brunt of that in our culture? Women. Women usually anywhere from 2 to even 12 years out of the workforce. So imagine how that affects her career, her ability to earn money, and yet a lot of women take that on as their fault. And they listen to the messages in our culture. For instance, my own industry. There's this belief system that women aren't as aggressive with investing, or maybe they lack confidence. But that's really just a message that we can question. Because really, when we take it on, I find that women are very capable, very confident, and they can make as good or better choices with investing.
Teresa, do you think it is that lack of confidence? I mean, from this message, this false message that has been fed to us, or do you think it's something else going on?
Well, confidence is kind of an interesting thing because it just like anything that you're not so comfortable doing in life. If you want to take on hiking and you've never hiked before, you have to learn how to hike, right? So in order to become a better money manager and make better decisions about your money, you have to first develop some competence. And that requires taking action. This is what I really encourage people in my practice to do, women in my practice. Take a first step, a second step, until you start feeling better about having a spending plan, about how much you save in your 401k and where it goes, about whether you should buy a house on your own or not and go into real estate investing. So confidence comes with competence. I think when women understand that, then they can gain that confidence really quickly. And again, I ask women, is this something you've just chosen to believe because someone told you to?
Yeah.
Is it really true about you? It usually isn't.
Yeah.
Teresa, I love that because, I mean, that's our goal ultimately with our business as well. You want to educate people to become their own expert. And once you do that, you see this confidence level rise, and all of a sudden they're out there empowered and buying homes and, probably in taking on more than they thought they could have originally because their confidence is so high because they have the information. And I imagine that's reciprocated with you as well because people have to open up and provide their world to you and us as well for us to provide the best suggestions for them and their families.
Absolutely. And when I create a trusting space, a space where people feel like they can let that private experience with money or their conditions with money, I find that we can collaborate and work together very quickly in figuring out what are the action steps that's going to get you towards what you really dream of, towards the conditions you really want, and then it flows very quickly. So that's what I invite women to do. Just begin to take it on, begin to break things up and figure out where you can actually get more confidence.
Yeah. So, Tresa, let's talk about the gap of pay between men and women.
Well, different articles and books say different things. 75 to 80% is usually what is bandied about. And of course, it's even bigger for women of color. And so why is this pay gap sort of stubbornly stayed there? I've been in the business for over 30 years. And I have to say, progress, we should be there right by now from the way I look at it. But it's really because women have sort of taken it, they just take it for granted. They just sort of, they're afraid that the fight is going to be too big, or maybe they don't even know how to ask for a raise. There's been many books written about that. Women who actually negotiate for a raise make $1 million more over their lifetime than women who don't.
Yeah,
so
crazy.
that's a big incentive to learn how to talk about it and how to ask.
Take action, it sounds like. That's awesome. What are some of the, you see these challenges. What are the challenges that you see specifically with women becoming financially independent that you're facing?
Women actually have 8 unique challenges. Of course, the pay gap is one. The time out of the workforce is another, not just to raise children, but also take care of parents. If a parent is sick, it's usually the daughter that's looked to as being the one that will get out of the workforce and nurture rather than the man. And then women, of course, are living longer. And women also, they usually end up single. 80% of women will end up single at some time in her life. And if she divorces, she's less likely to remarry than men are. So all of these conditions, which may or may not be an individual circumstance, but they need to be planned for. They need to be talked about. They need to be brought to the surface and considered instead of ignored.
So, Tresa, as we're wrapping up our time, we've got less than 60 seconds for the end of the show. I would love to just shout it out there for you. What is a call to action or something you'd like to share with our listeners?
So this is my passion, to get women to talk about their money and to even be able to sit in a room like this and say how much money they make. So what I have is a talking circle every Monday evening, and you can go to reinventinghermoney.com and learn more. You can join my talking circle where we just talk about all different topics like you are here, and let women get comfortable about revealing what they really want and need and what their challenges are.
Beautiful. Talking Circle. If you want to know more information on that, please call the show at 1-855-400-1150 or go online at themoneyhour.com. I just have to say, I thank goodness I'm an entrepreneur. I don't have to deal with any limits to finances because it's all up to us as an individual. That's my shout out. Be an entrepreneur. This is your host, Tina Mitchell, signing off for the day.
And your co-host, Keelan Harvey.
And we'll be here same time, same place next weekend, right here at 1150 a.m. KKNW. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.